So you are welcome to the class as we proceed with the topic we were working on, and that is AI and machine learning for peace, conflict, security, and disaster management under our important clarification series. We are behind in mind that we should always let the data speak. And with the vision that we are trying to make, we're working towards making AI machine learning accessible, ethical, and life-changing. So positively, of course. So we've had several in this series. We've spoken about AI machine learning in agriculture, started with crop, then later with animal. So we are moving on. We started the idea of looking at AI and machine learning in peace, conflict, security, and disaster management. And we usually tell us that the unique thing is if you are not in this area of research or this is not your own area, however, the idea is just different, but the underlying methodology is the same. If you can understand how you can use AI and machine learning in this area, you can also extrapolate to your own area of interest when the need arises. This is very, very important to take note always. So no knowledge is lost. So we started last time with looking into how we can harness AI, artificial intelligence, for a safer, more stable world. We stated that AI and machine learning, they are not just technologies, but they are new tools for human survival, cooperation, and peace building. And we stress upon this fact, which is that applications are diverse. So mention your own, but the methods are generic. So if you can understand how to use this, you can also think, okay, how can I use it for my own area of interest? That's what we're saying. Applications are diverse, but the methods are generic. Once you grab how to use it in your own area, you can start introspecting and also try to extrapolate to your own area of interest, as we are going to again mention towards the end, when we're going to be taking question and answer, then we'll be asking people to name their own area of interest that you think needed to be discussed. And we put them on queue, and they will be taking them one after the other as the opportunity arises. So we mentioned what we are going to cover. So the promise of peace, the theater of war, the security dilemma. So we were able to cover these three last time. So we'll be starting from the resilient society today. And hopefully we'll be able to look at the cross-cutting challenges and then selected related predictive AI solutions and the conclusion. But hopefully we can cover these two and part of this so that after 3 sessions, we hope we'll be done with this. AI in peace, security, and conflict resolution or conflict management, while we then move to other areas that could be of interest to us. So you're welcome on board once again as we move. So for those who are maybe possibly joining, so we have recordings of the past ones. You can always check them out so that you don't lose much on that. So today we discussed the security dilemma, and that was where we stopped, where we talked about balancing safety and liberty. You see, we discussed the idea of having a lot of predictive policing. So you want to focus the crime hotspots. You see, where there's likely going to be crime. So that you don't wait for the crime to happen, you preempt it. You deploy security forces to prevent it from happening. When people who possibly intended to perpetrate crime, when they notice the presence of a lot of security agencies, security personnel around, they are likely going to change their mind. That is the idea of all this predictive policing. You don't wait for disaster to strike, for problem to happen, but you preempt them by identifying, using predictive solution where there's likely going to be a problem. And then you can deploy personnel there to actually forestall or prevent it from happening. So facial recognition, mass surveillance, identify people. Of course, this is maybe threatening their privacy. That's why we say, how do we balance safety and liberty? Freedom, your privacy must be respected, but at what cost? See? Yes. There are some level, depending on the security situation of a nation, the government might decide to lower the liberty of people. You want to use AI to carry out surveillance to be able to detect some of the potential criminals, people who may perpetrate or who may be influenced to carry out criminal acts. Doing so means you are going to be intruding into personal privacy. See it? Including counterterrorism, disrupting networks through financial and communication analysis before it actually happened. Infrastructure protection, securing power grids and water systems from attacks. So we discussed extensively on this, where we said that security versus privacy. If one is going up, the other one may be going down. You may not be able to keep the two up at the same time. The government will have to decide. People with criminal past, they are most likely to have their privacy lowered a little bit. To monitor them, to be sure that they are not returning back to where they used to be before. But for those people or neighborhood that are not known for such, their own privacy may be left at very high level. However, sometimes, life is about give and take. You may have to lower one in order to be able to carry out preemptive security assurance system. So in all, the issue of ethical and responsible AI comes to place regularly. So when we talk about general challenges, we'll still mention things in this direction. So here we're starting there fully today, the resilient society. That is transforming disaster management. How do we transform disaster management? So a resilient society is the one that it doesn't wait for the crime to happen. You see, it has a lot of preemptive system. Have an idea this might take place, then you can prevent it. Not only that, when it finally happens, it has system to deal with it also. We call such society a resilient society. So we can build resilient society with the assistance of AI and machine learning predictive modeling to help us to identify before disaster happens, and also if it actually happens finally, how can we deal with it within the shortest possible time so that we can prevent loss of life, we can prevent a lot of disaster. This is what we mean by resilient society. When you have a resilient society, then that society must have succeeded in transforming disaster management. And to do that, we talk of early warning and prediction. Early warning and prediction. That is, more accurate forecast for hurricanes, for example. See, we know in the past we used to have hurricane this, hurricane that will come suddenly overnight and leave the city in disaster, loss of life, properties. But today, with the deployment of sophisticated AI and machine learning predictive solutions, you see this hurricane are being forecasted a few days before the occurrence. So they evacuate people from the risk area. The hurricane finally comes, but people already left. This is the kind of resilient society we're talking about. You see, Because before hurricane does not just happen suddenly. There are some activities at the ocean floor. Sometimes you see earthquakes are taking place on the ocean floor, but no one is aware. We don't have that. The human being cannot detect it. You see, a lot of activities have been taking place on the ocean floor before finally it leads to hurricane. Hurricane is an aftermath of some of these activities. But with the careful deployment of lot of gadgets to gather data sets, now this data set in real life, in real time, are being sent to the disaster management systems where they model the data, they monitor it, and then alerts are issued. Oh, there's something that is looking like there's going to be a hurricane. You see, because those characteristics that are similar to what happened in the previous one, once the system detected it, it raised alarm, and then necessary preventive measure can be put in place, like relocating people from most vulnerable areas. These are used also in floods. Can we have an idea of where there is going to be flood before it actually happens? It's very possible now. You see, these are characteristics of resilient society, an earthquake of itself. That is the early warning and prediction systems or predictive solution. We also have the rapid damage assessment, indicate that disaster finally happened, even after you successfully relocate people. You see how their property, you may not be able to relocate their property, their houses, and the like. So we have rapid damage assessment. AI can analyze satellite and drone imagery post-disaster, after disaster has happened, to map the damage, to be able to know, to understand the extent of the damage that has been caused by that disaster. Then we also have the optimized response. Optimized response. You don't just want people, this disaster management community or agencies, we don't want them to just respond in a zigzag manner or at random. No, we have optimized response. That is response that will ensure that we maximize the amount of delivery we can dispatch. The most needy area, the most challenging needs. That is, AI can dispatch emergency services and aid efficiently using real-time data. It's monitoring them and able to say, oh, this particular location, they need it more. This one need it more. These people need helicopter air. These people only need medical services. This one, they need food. So with optimized response, it will be better than a situation whereby aids and emergency services are dispatched to a location that doesn't really need it much, while others that needed them urgently, they are being neglected. So with optimized response system, this can be made possible. Social media rescue. You see, we are now in the age of social media. The natural language processing system can scan posts to identify and locate people in need. You see, I used to say with social network analysis, if government want to know an idea, we've explained this in one of our previous presentations. We say when government want to know your opinion as a citizen about a particular intended project, let's say the government want to start nuclear energy. So when you ask people to fill form, questionnaire, you see people, when you give people questionnaire to fill, people fear that you will understand, you will know who filled the form. So they tend to answer the question as you want them to answer it. They don't want you to feel offended. They will not tell you exactly their feeling, what they want. So by so doing, the essence of that data collection is defeated because you are getting fake data that is not representative of the actual feelings of your citizen. However, with the social network mining, where we can use NLP system to mine, because when people are chatting with their friends, they are likely going to communicate their real intention, their actual feeling, will be communicated. So the system goes there, mine your communication with people to be able to know your correct and actual opinion about some of these government policies. For example, during the COVID-19, there are some countries, they deploy these opinion mining tools to know if children should return back to school or they should still continue in online school. At the first time, majority of the citizens say, no, we still want our children to be at home. They are not sure this corona is gone. Then the government decided to elongate the online schooling. After another 2 semesters, they again run the same poll until majority says that, yes, I think we can go back to normal school. You see, if you ask people to do it one-on-one survey, the risk is also there. No one wants to go out to go and fill the form. But with social media mining, this decision can be taken considering the actual feelings and opinion of the people. So in similar way, when there's disaster, they can mine posts to see people who are seriously in need. People taking pictures of where they are located, how the disaster is closer to them. So this can assist the disaster management agency to respond to people according to their needs. And then we also have what we call the resilience planning. This is where you simulate disasters to build stronger cities. You try to simulate disaster. Assuming this thing happen, how can we respond? What will be the effect of this building? This is why you see people today, they are building out, they simulate the house before they actually build the house. And they try to now see, okay, if there is flood, how will this affect it? There was a particular earthquake that happened. You see houses shifting and not falling down. The house is totally shifted from their base, but the house did not crumble. That is the level on which resilience planning has made it possible for people to build stronger cities. Cities that even in the case of emergency, of earthquake or any disaster, the house can move rather than crumbling down on people. It shifts itself. That is simulating disaster to build stronger city. You simulate, and then based on that, how is this house going to respond? You can build a better house, a better social services that can withstand the greatest of disasters. The key benefits under resilient society is you are having speed and efficiency. Speed and efficiency will ensure it's going to be faster response, efficient response, which will lead to all what? Lives are saved. You save more lives, and saving a single life is like saving the entire humanity. So whatever you can do to have a resilient society is a worthwhile. Then we move on to the cross-cutting challenges. Cross-cutting challenges. There are so many challenges. There's nothing with advantage without disadvantages, as you know. So we have the bias and the fairness. The bias and the fairness, garbage in, garbage out. So we said AI can amplify human prejudices. Yes, that's one of the challenging areas. When you want to build a model, for example, that will identify a community that may suffer from criminal incident or from crime. When you are building those cities, you must make sure that the data you are using is not biased. You must spread it across. For example, you have tribe A and then tribe B. Tribe B in a country. So when you are building your model, you are going to have positive and negative. For example, two-class problem. Okay, it's criminal, not criminal. You see? So in this tribe A, maybe you have 1,000 data sets to train your model, for example. You must make sure that we want a balanced data, if possible. Let's say we have 500 criminals and then another 500 non-criminals. So you must make sure that 250 from this criminals are coming from here, 250 from here, or close by, 240, 250. But the gap should not be too wide. For non-criminals, make sure also you have it like 250 from this guy, 250 from here. However, in real life, either due to, it could be deliberate, and it could be due to lack of facility to deploy necessary questionnaire for all the tribes. You ended up having tribe A and tribe B. Here you have only 10 members of this tribe. It's from the criminal data set history. You see, non-criminal, we have like 400 of them. 400, non-criminal. For tribe B, here you have almost 480 or 490 people who are identified as criminals from this tribe. And only 100 people are non-criminal. So your data is already biased against this tribe. So when you train your model is likely going to be identify people of this tribe as a criminal, while these people will be identified as non-criminal, even if they are criminals. You see, every tribe has criminals within them. So when you build a model that is biased from the onset, then you are creating a big problem that people often tag as the problem of AI. But I say it is the people who are building that AI system that is causing the trouble. That is why we say garbage in, garbage out. If you provide data set that is biased, the outcome will be biased. So you make sure the data you are providing is balanced. Get enough representative value from one tribe, get enough representative value from another tribe for both criminal and non-criminals. So that when the system gets trained, you'll be able to recognize potential criminal from both tribes with the same rate or probability. This is a way we can deal with this, we can avoid this kind of a problem. Otherwise, it's a general universal problem across domains and applications. The country will build a system and use its own minority as the majority in the criminal side. So all the minority will be identified as potential criminals. This is not fair. That is a problem we call bias and fairness, which has to be dealt with. And that's why we call it cross-cutting challenges. It cuts across not only peace and resolution application, all applications. You have your animal in your farm, you have a particular type of animal that is going to be sick. The one you train that is sick, they belong to a particular animal. The one that is not sick belongs to another animal. You are going to have a bias. So you have to make sure the data set is spread across the different types of animals you have. Then we have the black box dilemma problem, that is lack of transparency and explainability in AI decisions. Depending on the kind of algorithm you deploy, sometimes you may have lack of transparency. You cannot really explain how do you get this result. You see, and people are becoming more concerned. We want to understand how does it happen. So, but today we now have what we have, explainable AI. After you build AI system, then you try to use method that can then explain how you arrive at this method. For the beginning, we do recommend, we are building a system, you can use the decision tree. If decision tree can solve a problem for you, because everybody can understand the way decision tree works. Don't go, you go and use the one that is tough with mathematical background, black box, support vector machine. You don't even wonder what is going on underneath. You just see decision. You see, more and more people are getting to be interested in the decision, how you arrive at your decision. You are building a medical system. You want your patient to trust you, then you'll be able to provide explanation. So we have a lot of explainable modeling system now in AI and machine learning that can provide transparency. However, you can't deal with it all 100%. There's some time that you really want accuracy. At that point, some of the best way to achieve better accuracy is by using ensemble. Ensemble is when you train multiple models, like 150 models, and you let them collaborate to take a decision. In that collaboration link, you lose explanation of what they are doing. So sometimes you have to lose the explainability of that AI at a point in time. What we need is something that is accurate, that will predict for us when there's going to be a disaster, and it's not going to make any mistake. We want that, then we may have to sacrifice the explainability at some point in time. But if there are some things that are not, no, the accuracy is not really big, they want to understand the way it is happening, okay, use algorithm that you can easily explain to people. Develop things like Sharp and other type of explainable AI to let you understand the decision process of the AI system you are deploying. That is possible. However, at very higher level, when accuracy, precision is what you want, then you may have to sacrifice that transparency for getting super unique accuracy or precision. When you mix many models together, explainability is lost along the way. So we can check out Ensemble. We have several videos we've done on Ensemble machine learning and how it works, how it can always solve problems and get you better results. Data dependency, that is, effectiveness relies on high quality representative data. Your data is very important. Data will determine the kind of output we are going to have. Like I said earlier, if your data is biased, if it's not high quality, it has a lot of noise, then you are going to have bad results. So the data is very, very important. The way you get the data, is it related to what you want to model? And again, always remember, we always let the data speak. When you have data set, don't make assumption. Oh, it's decision tree that's going to work. It is a support vector machine that's going to work because it worked for my friend. No. Check different algorithm on the data that has just been provided for you, because that data has some insight within it that can only be detected by the appropriate algorithm. And there's no there's no one algorithm that is good for all situations. So you have to check to make sure that your data it has high quality and it's also representative. You want to model a system A, you are getting data from system B, it will not work. You have to get data that is relevant to what you are modeling. Governance and regulation, that is, a global patchwork of laws struggles to keep pace with technology. This is the challenges we are having. See, there has to be governance of this AI system, especially how do we use it in the right way? How do we avoid using it for what I call unethical and irresponsible utilization of AI? So it's a big challenge. We call it cross-cutting challenges. How can is there any governance system put in place? Is there any United Nations agree mode? Even if there is, are people going to abide by this rule and regulation? For example, there has been a lot of discussion that some AI should not be deployed in the war. Are we not already deploying it? To what extent are we sticking to those laws? But I want to believe from the local, state level, country level, continent level, and then universally, there has to be law that will guide and regulate the use of AI. It is not everything that is doable that should be done. Some things should just be left undone to protect humanity, to protect jobs after deep analysis of the system. Who is going to ensure that these laws are being followed appropriately? This is the challenge we are talking about, the cross-cutting challenges that is facing this very interesting and unique technology. So we say these challenges, they are universal, see, across all application domains. So they are not just limited to peace, security, and disaster management area. They are all unique to every area we can think of that we are using AI and machine learning. So the next thing we are going to look at is the predictive AI or machine learning solutions for peace and conflict. We decided to create some specific predictive analytics problem that we can try, as anybody who is interested in this area can choose them, look for data set and try to see how you can how can you start working on it? So we have created a couple of specific lists on peace and conflicts. We have other one, disaster management and security. Like, for example, like detecting rising tensions or hate speech trends. You don't wait for the crisis to happen. Is tension really rising between countries, between states, between tribes? Can you identify if the tension is high, is getting higher and higher quickly? What of hate speech and what could be related to it? See, there's so many areas in the predictive solution that we'll be looking at. We'll be specifically mentioning one by one and also analyzing how we can benefit from it and how we can also try to build it. For those people in research area, it's a unique opportunity for you to now see how you can explore them, get the data set, and then set in motion to get the right thing done. So because of our time, so we are going to call it a day at this point so that we can give time for question and answering. By the grace of God, the next edition, we are going to start from predictive machine learning solutions for peace and conflict, after which we are going to move to predictive machine learning solutions for security and disaster management. And then we then look for conclusion and what is related. So thank you very much for listening. So now we are going to leave room for question and answer. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.